Shalom, and welcome to What the Watchman Sees, a ministry that will sift through all of the social media noise to show you news of importance from the Most High's perspective. As watchmen, we are here both to warn of dangers and give biblical answers for dwelling in the secret place of the Most High during these times of confusion. Tell your family and friends to like, share, and subscribe as we delve into what Yahweh has for us, the apple of His eye. Let's get to work. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to continue with our study in Joel. We left Joel chapter 2 and the nuggets from Joel chapter 2, and now we're going to be going into Joel chapter 3. Although we've read all of the verses in entirety before, I do want to start with reading the verses. We are still operating under 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, which tells us to study to show ourselves approved unto the Most High, workmen who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, and that all scripture is God-breathed and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the person of the Most High may be complete, thoroughly furnished to every good work. So what we're going to be doing at this point is going into the scripture, and we're going to read from Joel chapter 3. Joel chapter 3, the title being The Most High Judges the Nations, verse 1. Yes, in those days and at that time when I restore Judah and Jerusalem from captivity, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will enter into judgment against them concerning my people, my inheritance, Yasharel, whom they have scattered among the nations as they divided up my land. They cast lots for my people. They bartered a boy for a prostitute and sold a girl for wine to drink. Now, what do you have against me, O Tyre, Sidon, and all the regions of Philistia? Are you rendering against me a recompense? If you retaliate against me, I will swiftly and speedily return your recompense upon your heads. For you took my silver and gold and carried off my finest treasures to your temples. You sold the people of Judah and Jerusalem to the Greeks to send them far from their homeland. Behold, I will rouse them from the places to which you sold them. I will return your recompense upon your heads. I will sell your sons and daughters into the hands of the people of Judah, and they will sell them to the Sabaeans, to a distant nation. Indeed, Yahweh has spoken. Proclaim this among the nations. Prepare for war. Rouse the mighty men. Let all the men of war advance and attack. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. Come quickly, all you surrounding nations, and gather yourselves. Bring down your mighty ones, O Yahuwah. Let the nations be roused and advance to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit down to judge all the nations on every side. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come trample the grapes, for the winepress is full. The wine vats overflow because their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon will grow dark. The stars will no longer shine. Yahuwah will roar from Zion and raise his voice from Jerusalem. Heaven and earth will tremble. But Yahuwah will be a refuge for his people, a stronghold for the people of Yasharel. Then you will know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who lives in Zion, my holy mountain. Jerusalem will be holy, never again to be overrun by foreigners. And in that day, the mountains will drip with sweet wine, and the hills will flow with milk. All the streams of Judah will run with water, and a spring will flow from the house of Yahuwah to water the valley of Acacia. Egypt will become desolate, and Edom a desert wasteland, because of the violence done to the people of Judah, in whose land they shed innocent blood. But Judah will be inhabited forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will avenge their blood, which I have not yet avenged. We're going to be spending the rest of our meditation during this Shabbat on taking out nuggets from that biblical passage found in Joel, the 3rd chapter. These study nuggets are not the only nuggets that are found in Joel chapter 3, but they're the ones that stood out to me. So someone else doing a study on Joel chapter 3 will probably pick out other things, and maybe even there be some similarities, but this particular season that we're in, I think the entire book of Joel is an appropriate book for us to be in it in this season. So that's how and why we're looking at it. So first of all, we talked in Joel chapter 2, the last time we met. He talked about afterwards, the Most High is going to pour out his spirit on all people. His sons and his daughters were going to prophesy. He would show wonders in the heavens and in the earth. And again, as we just read in chapter 3, Joel chapter 2 says it similarly. The sun is going to turn to darkness, the moon to blood, before the great day of the Most High. But everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be delivered or be saved. And then the question becomes, saved from what? And the salvation is in relationship to the conflict that's going on in that land. Okay, so it really does mean to be delivered or to be released or rescued from or to escape. So everyone who calls on the name of the Most High will, that lives in that area, by the way, will be delivered. Now, that's an important nugget to remember, because as it says in Acts chapter 2, verse 17 through 21, Peter, when he stood up delivering that gospel message on the day of Pentecost, used that same verse. Romans chapter 10 also talks about that same thing. So the explanation is expanded, both and, or all three and. It's not either one or the other. So it's talking about in Joel one of those boths, which is this is actually a occurrence in history that is focused on the salvation or the deliverance of Yasharel from people who are oppressing them. All right. Now we know that the other definition is sin, and the wages of sin is oppressive too. It leads to death. So that's why that concept, if you will, can be used in Acts chapter 2 and Romans chapter 10. All right. So but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. I want us to understand, though, when we look at Joel is talking about Yasharel and those who have dealt in evil ways toward Yasharel. Okay, so let's go on with Joel chapter 3, the nuggets in Joel chapter 3. The scriptures say, in those days, Yahuwah will bring again the captivity of Judah or Jerusalem. What does that mean? It implies that Judah and Jerusalem are in captivity. So when it says in those days, it's referring to the days that Joel chapter 2 talked about, which in essence are those days of vengeance. But the days of vengeance are coming about to avenge the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem that have been taken by force or driven by force off the land. And then it says in verse 2, all nations are gathered and brought down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat was a king in Judah, the southern kingdom. He was actually a righteous king. And so there was a valley that was named after him. That valley is thought to be the valley between the Mount of Olives and Mount where the temple was. So there was a valley there. Now that's an important place because it's in that area that Messiah, when Messiah returns, is going to be returning there. So what this is saying is that all the nations that have caused the Most High's people hardship are going to be brought into that valley. Whereas the scriptures say the Most High is going to plead against them. We did talk about that word plead before. It is a legal term, and it means it's like to render judgment. So the Most High, when it says the Most High will plead against them, it means that he is going to be making accusations against them based on their either following or not following what the law has said. And what the law has said about their relationship to Yasharel is touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Those who chose to do that are the ones that are going to be brought into this valley that later on is called the Valley of Decision. Okay. And there were certain things that they did against Yasharel when Yasharel was being chastised by the Most High. And this has happened throughout Yasharel's being in the land, being kicked out of the land, being sent to other places. It says they gambled for his people and sold his children for their pleasure. In other words, when Yasharel was underneath the judgment, because see, the Most High pleaded against Yasharel also. Okay. And so when he did that, those who were around them were rejoicing at Yasharel's fate, taking advantage of the blessing that the Most High had given to Yasharel. They took it for themselves. And so that's where it says they gambled for his people. They went in, they did the same thing to Yasharel that the Roman soldiers did with Yeshua's garments. They gambled for, just like they gambled for his garments, that the garments didn't belong to them. The garments belonged to Yeshua. They took it off of his dead body. Okay. That's what the nations were doing with the material and the souls of Yasharel. So that's what it means by they gambled for his people and sold his children for their pleasure. Who are his children? The children of Yasharel. So the Most High says, Yah will raise them out of the place that you sod them or sold them. That word should be sold. The place that you sold them. So that's a prophecy that Yasharel and the people of Yasharel are coming home. And when they come home, y'all are going to have to be dealt with, or y'all will be dealt with. And so how is that going to work? Your sons and your daughters will be sold into the hands of Judah. And the scriptures go on to say, and then Judah is going to sell your sons and your daughters to the Sabaeans. Now, we're not going to go into that, but at this part of the lesson, but just know this is what Joel chapter 3 is talking about. This is one of the nuggets from Joel chapter 3, that the same way that you gambled for my people, I'm going to paraphrase it, the Most High speaking to those who were the enemies of Yasharel, the same way you gambled away my people and sold my people into slavery, the same thing's going to happen to you. That's what this is really saying. As we continue, we see where this judgment is coming from. It doesn't come from Yasharel. Verse 12 says, Yah or Yahuwah will sit to judge all the heathen. He's the one that's going to send in the sickle, and the harvest is going to be reaped. And that's where this scripture, multitudes in the valley of decision. Any of the groups of people that have come against the Most High's people, which is why it's really important to know who they are. Anybody who is in these days, anybody who has come against the Most High's people are going to be drawn into that valley of decision. And that's where the scripture comes in, the sun and the moon shall be darkened. Okay. But verse 18 in Joel chapter 3 says, at this time, Judah will be blessed and dwell forever from generation to generation. This has not happened yet. Judah's not back in the land yet. That's why I said in passing, you got to know who the Most High's people are. The Most High's people are not yet back in the land. These things have not happened yet, but we're on the precipice of these things happening, which is why Joel is so important a book to read and understand and meditate on, because this is going on as we speak. Okay, or at least the foundation is being laid for this manifestation of what the Spirit has said is going to happen. So it's at that time when that all transpires, that's when Judah is going to be blessed to come back into the land. But right now, even when the nations are at war with one another, Judah, still being scattered, is underneath the Most High's protection. That is a right now occurrence. But as this scenario plays itself out, in this case, it's about Judah being returned back to the land, but the land is going to have to be cleansed first. And that's why this multitudes in the valley of decision is happening. Then it goes on to say in verse 19, both Egypt and Edom shall be desolate wilderness because of their shedding the innocent blood of children of Yahudah or Judah. It gives two specific people groups or nations. One of them is called Egypt. We've talked about this before, and it's very relevant now. Egypt has another name. The other name for Egypt is Misraim. It's the land of the captivity of Judah. That's one nation group. The other nation group, Edom, let me say this first about Edom. Edom is the group of people that are in perpetual hatred of their twin brother Jacob or Yasharel. They have been warring with Yasharel since the womb. That war is continuing to this day. But Edom has tricked the world into thinking that it no longer exists, that it disappeared into history. No, it didn't. Edom is still here. And so what verse 19 is saying is both Egypt, who has come against Yasharel, and Edom, who continually comes against Yasharel, shall be a desolate wilderness because of their shedding the innocent blood of children of Yahudah or Judah. That is what the story is about when it comes to this valley of decision. When you read the entire book of Joel, there are other nations besides Egypt and Edom, all right, that have come against Judah. But the ones who are in that category are the ones who have surrounded Judah, dispersed Judah, sold Judah, mistreated Judah, and are continuing to do that as we speak. So Egypt is no longer only confined to what we call the Middle East. Where I live is Egypt. Edom is no longer just in Mount Seir. Edom went up to Rome. Edom went to Turkey. Edom went to the steppes of Russia. The Edomites are the ones who are living in what we call the promised land right now. They're the ones who are doing the deeds against the people who are the indigenous people there. That's Edomites. That's who they are. And all of that is happening as a result of their hatred for Yasharel. They hate Yasharel over here too, but we're not going to get into that in very much detail right now. But the promise is in verse 21, Judah is going to be inhabited forever. Now, this Judah is talking about a land mass. Okay, it's Judea. It's the land that had been allocated to the tribe of Judah, the bloodline tribe of Judah. Now, the bloodline tribe of Judah, even in Yeshua's day, always included other people than just the bloodline, but the land itself was under the jurisdiction of the Most High's chosen, and that's who Judah was at that particular point in time. In other words, wherever Jerusalem is in that area, that's where Judah is, okay? And those who live in that area, including the Edomites, because when Jesus was walking the earth, many of the people that he interacted with in a negative way were Edomites. Herod was an Edomite. The scribes and the Pharisees, many of them were Edomites. They were not bloodline children of Yasharel, but they were called Idumeans, and they were all mixed in with the bloodline children. That's why they call themselves Jews, because Jew now means anyone who used to live in that area that the tribe of Judah had been allocated. What verse 21 says is Judah is going to be inhabited forever. What's forever, by the way? Sometimes our language, the language of English or Greek, takes us in different directions than the culture of the people who were speaking these words in their own language. So forever has to do with for the foreseeable future. That may be a better way of looking at it, because the 1,000-year reign has not started yet. But even when the 1,000-year reign does start, and at the end of the 1,000 years, then what? Okay, then that's another time, epoch of time. So just pointing out to you that forever is not the forever and ever and ever and ever and ever that the Western mindset believes that it is. Okay, it just has to do with from one generation to the next generation. In other words, Judah is going to be inhabited by the people who are supposed to have it once all of these things have been resolved. All right. And then verse 22 says, I will avenge their blood, which I have not yet avenged. And that's where we are right now. The blood of the children of Judah has not yet been avenged, which is why the Most High says Don't seek your own vengeance. He says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Most High. We don't have the authority to avenge ourselves, even though the desire and the tendency is to want to do that. Our desire should be to seek the will of the Most High, find the center of it, live in it, walk in it, manifest it. That's what he wants his people doing. Because right now, as we're in captivity, those who have us in captivity need to see the kingdom of heaven modeled by the citizens of the kingdom. Now, they can come against us. They can mistreat us. They can misuse us. But we have been instructed not to try to avenge ourselves. Give it to the Most High. He knows when and he knows how to avenge us. So we give thanks to the Father for the blessing that he's shown us. Father, bless you and keep you. Father, make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Father, lift up his countenance upon you and give you his shalom.